If you tend to directly apply to this kind of roles, your resume may or may not be shortlisted. Working as a product manager and cracking the PM interviews are two different things.
Should I go ahead and directly apply for the job, or should I first try to get a referral? Hello, PMs, aspiring PMs, and product builders. If you are someone looking to learn the art and science of cracking PM interview, then this episode is a must watch for you. Today, I am hosting a popular product manager, a dear friend, and a mentor at Hello PM, Sugat. So, Sugat is currently a product manager at Meta, formerly Facebook, formerly the Facebook, at their London office. And Sugat has worked before Meta. He has also worked with a couple of big 10 companies, which is LinkedIn and PayPal, to name a few. And Sugat is also among the most knowledgeable person that I know about cracking the PM interviews, because not only he has cracked PM interviews at almost all of the top organizations that we can think of, but he has also interviewed a lot of people who have cracked interviews at Uber, Google, Meta, PayPal, and so many other companies. So not only Sugat's action is going to be there, but also he has a lot of reflection from people who have already done this job. So today we'll be talking about a lot about how to go ahead and maybe crack a job at some of the top companies out there, what your preparation journey should look like, and also once you become a product manager, like what your job looks like at these kind of companies out there. So with that being said, thanks a lot, Sugat, for being with us today.
Hey, thank you so much, Ankit, for inviting me to the channel. And I'm really happy to speak to all of the folks and share my experience. How has, working in a startup, in a product management, then transitioning to big tech. So
Thanks a lot, Sugat. Means a lot to us. And let's say, Sugat, we'll go ahead and maybe start with the first question, which is a very important question, which is, let's say someone aspires to become a product manager at the big tech or the MAANG companies. What is the roadmap that you are going to suggest to them?
So let's assume that candidate is already working as a product manager in India, let's say with 5 years of experience working in a startup, right? Assuming this is the candidate's profile has been working so far, now he or she has to transition into a big tech, maybe Amazon, Microsoft, Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of this. Apart from Facebook, you can easily get the calls, but Meta, Facebook is something which is not located in India, and that's a kind of an altogether uh, offsite or onshore company where you might require that visa sponsorship to work around. So I will come to the meta part later, but let's talk about the normal if you want to crack for Google, Microsoft, Amazon, this kind of companies. The first and the most part is getting a call for this kind of companies, and that plays a crucial role because unless and until you get that call, how can you even prepare for the interviews? The way you have to approach this is maybe try to find someone who is already working in this kind of companies and form a connection with them. You can definitely leverage LinkedIn, your friend circle, your college groups, or MBA if you have done so. Find up people who can actually an advocate and refer you into this kind of companies, because if you tend to directly apply to this kind of roles, your resume may or may not be shortlisted. So we don't know what kind of CV or what kind of experience you bring into it, but if you definitely have a referral or an internal advocate, chances are that your CV will definitely shortlisted or even at least screened by the recruiter, right? So once done that, next comes the interview call. But before jumping into the interview, one of the most important thing is your preparation, which we definitely tend to miss a lot, right? And we always take it for the later stage that if we get a call, we'll start preparing on it and we just have 10 to 15 days. And then definitely I have also done this kind of mistakes in the past, right? So the way you have to approach this or the timeline is you have to, let's say, give yourself at least 3 to 4 months of good preparation amount of time to even before shortlisting or even if interviewing into this kind of companies. And your plan should be understand the interview patterns which happens in this kind of companies, and definitely there are tons of resources what this kind of companies look for the candidates, what kind of interview questions are being asked. So it's just an interview. Please remember, working as a product manager and cracking the PM interviews are two different things. You can be a great PM, you can be a founder altogether, building great products which is being used across millions of people. But if you come to the interviews, most of the companies approach this as a fitment part of it, right? If you are a good fit for us to work into it, right? Keeping it short, or coming back to the point, the thing that you have to start is prepare all this kind of things. How I have prepared my journey when I was actually targeting these companies was I first of all wrote down what are the different kind of interview happens. Is it a product design, product sense, and technically every week I used to pick up one of this topic, read about it, practice about it, uh, you know, like and the most important which helped was doing a lot of mock interviews. If you ask me how many mock interviews I have given for getting that meta interview was somewhere close to 15 to 20 mock interviews in a span of 2 3 months, 2 months, not 3 months, yeah, 2 months. And I took almost prep time of 3 months to even appear for my first round of meta interviews. So that's the timeline you have to look forward yourself, and don't be in a reactive manner that hey, you're getting the call and you're just straight from in the preparing the interviews. So Ankit, to your question that what should be the roadmap of it, I think the first phase is make yourself well prepared what these interviews look like, and for that there are a bunch of resources. Give yourself at least 2 to 3 months minimum, I would say, be it for any of the companies you're doing it. And once you're ready, you feel that you have done at least 15 to 20 mock interviews across all these phases, then proceed to the next part of getting a referral out of this thing. And there are tons of ways of modifying your resumes, getting that referrals. Maybe we can talk it later, but this should be the approach for any candidate who is planning to look into this kind of rank jobs. The other part of the question is, let's talk about the sponsorship part of it, like especially in the like outside India when you are looking for jobs. So here, uh, you know if these are the big tech companies who definitely are open to sponsor your role, so that's no question altogether. You just have to fight a good fit, man. uh, if I talk about like 3 years earlier, these companies used to hire for any of the product managers, even if you are B2B, B2C, internal platforms. But right now, what I'm seeing is they are focusing a lot on the your past experience and domain knowledge that can actually help you lead to most of this kind of referral and shortlisting process. So if you are applying for jobs at Google or Facebook, make sure you try to apply to those job only which you have a past experience. Let's say they're asking specifically 5 years of B2B experience. Make sure you have that, else don't even bother to apply, because you won't be shortlisted and then you would feel that rejection burden and say that why I'm not getting shortlisted. So make sure your profile is very well fit for even getting that referral, and then
Yes, I think this was great, Suga. This was great. So, just one follow-up question: that let's say I am checking for some jobs on, let's say, Google, Meta, or any of the companies out there, and I look at their, let's say, one of the jobs that they have published on their website. So, what do you suggest? Should I go ahead and directly apply for the job, or should I go ahead, go to LinkedIn, find someone who's working over there, and maybe first try to get a referral from them?
I think I would follow the later. I won't directly apply to any of this job. I would definitely try to find a referral and get that applied. Reason being, I was doing a podcast with one of the FANG recruiters, and this is coming from him saying that if your profile is being referred, there are chances that a manual reviewer will actually go through your CV and screen it,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Even with the ATS or non-ATS, but there would be a manual reviewing happening on the things, which is not guaranteed on the uh, if you apply automatically. But being said that, I've even heard a lot of great success stories of people who just directly apply and get that job. But I think it's just about the percentages. I've seen more successes in people having those referral things and from the direct apply. So yeah, that's my take, Ankit.
Yes, yes, yes. Is that recruiter Vishal?
Yes,
Yeah. So Vishal has been a Hello PM alumni too as well. Yes.
absolutely,
Thanks a
yes.
lot. Thanks a lot, Sugat. I think this was good, Sugat. And maybe I think we should we'll also come to this question, because what I believe is that yes, there are some specific things that they have written in their job description. Even if some people have done it, they miss putting it out altogether in their resume. So maybe for the next question, we can maybe ask about that. Let's say you have a job posted that is out there, you have a referral out there. Then how should you go ahead, and maybe few tips that you can share about like common mistake that people make while they are creating their resumes?
So yeah, one of the most important thing while coming up with the resumes is you have to understand, who is that resume for? Is it for the hiring manager? Is it for the recruiters? And what they are trying to see from or learn about you in those few seconds, right? Let's say we have heard this, recruiters maximally spend 10 to 30 seconds in your resume just to see about it. So now that becomes like, in that small window, what can you do to get that attention, right? So I think one thing which I always believe is the summary part of it. When the first line, where you have to list out your like total years of PM experience which you have, the kind of products have you worked with, and what's the domain have you worked in. If you call out this particular three criterias, like you worked in B2B, 10 plus years of experience in product management, and I have experience in e-commerce, and also these keywords plus this kind of combo really helps to get a crisp information to the recruiters about the candidate's profile. So resume summary is a must have in everyone's profile. Now
Mm.
if I have to talk about some of the points part of it, right, one thing which I definitely encourage everyone, that the first line of your company should be about introducing the product which you have worked in, and not something else. What I mean by this is, you are making a product management resume and you have to introduce your product in the first line. So you have to mention something like, hey, I worked on this B2B, B2C application which helps in making credit card payments and used across 5 million people in India. So that way you are talking about what is your product you're working in, what is the usage of that product, and what's the geography that product is being used, along with what is used for. That is a kind of a very heavy pitch for your resume. So that's the second most recommended thing I would say, that introduce your product in the first line of every company if you have worked in. And definitely I think the other guidance are, make your, try to always call out the impact outcome. This is not a roles and responsibilities. As a PM, we are expected to do customer interviews, we are expected to do all the stakeholder alignment and management. But I am more interested in understanding what are some of the metrics or the features which you have, rolled off, and what's the final impact in the business in terms of revenue, adoption. So I would be, or a recruiter would be more interested in listening, at least reading those two, three projects, and not the normal roles and responsibilities sort of things. So yeah, that I would say, Ankit, are some of the mistakes I have seen, and this is what people can do to overcome those.
Yes, interesting. So just to summarize it for everyone, although we will go ahead and put a checklist in the description as well so that people can go through it, but just to summarize, you should have like a very compelling, like a very short summary. Then you should make sure that you are introducing in your experience what kind of product that you have worked in, maybe the scale of the product as well. And then you should also make sure that you are like telling the impact rather than only the responsibilities that you have. Is that correct, Sugat?
Absolutely.
Yes. Interesting. And Sugat, like before we could go ahead and right now we straight away jump to the MAANG and all. So let's go ahead. You have also worked with, let's say, some of the great startups where you have also gone ahead and done some kind of entrepreneurship in the past. So let's say someone eventually wants to get into MAANG, but they have to start somewhere because it would be difficult for them to straight out of college or straight out of, let's say, a sales or
Yes.
marketing or any kind of job to get into, let's say, MAANG FANG in terms of, let's say, the product management job out there. But they need to be somewhere. So let's say if someone wants to transition into product management, what would be your advice? You can consider either them as a student or consider someone who's coming from some kind of different 2 3 4 years of experience in some other field.
Cool. Valid question, Ankit, because I have seen this, getting into this FANG thing and all. I have not heard any success stories. People straightforward starting their career with Google as a product manager right after their college. This is very relevant for a software engineer who can do it, but not in the field of product management. I've at least seen people minimum of 5 to 10 years of experience before they start working into it, and so what happened with my case as well. Now, what other folks can do it to even pivot their career into product management, even if you're starting with a sales, marketing, consultant, business analyst, or even straight after colleges. First, it's a roadmap. Again, it's a roadmap, right? Learn, and how I like to break about this roadmap is like learn, practice, and prepare, right? In the learn phase is initial 2 to 3 months where you can learn about what is product management. Is it even for me to pursue it? What are the roles and responsibilities of a product management? How does the day of a product management look like? So as much as you can, and the way you can do it is by reading some books, joining some of the Slack communities, going through some formal educations like Hello PM and all. So that's all about the learn phase, which you can at least spend 3 to 4 months of time, right? Once you're done, you have a good understanding, and yes, you want to get into product management, then you have to come into the practice phase, right? Practice phase is something, it's actually implementation of whatever you have done so far, right? How can you, let's say you have learned about doing user interviews and all, how can you do it in real life? Maybe do some kind of self projects. And this is what I highly recommend everyone, that
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to wait for someone to
Give you the
give
work.
you assignments and projects. You can pick up your own favorite product and try to
Yes.
do all kind of tear downs and all. You can reach out to their own users. For example, let's talk about WhatsApp, right? I think in India most of us use WhatsApp, and let's say you want to learn about B2C product management, and pick up WhatsApp. Try to talk to your even family and friends and parents and understand how they use WhatsApp, what are the problems they face, and think about a product manager. How can you even improve those or solve those problems, right? So that's what you have to start doing. At least do 2 to 3 this kind of self projects. Assignments and all are fine, right? You get a 1 weeks of time, you can get it done, but think if as if you are working in those companies. uh, After that, right, once you're done with this, the next, definitely you have to do more is, further there are a lot of freelancing opportunities as well in product
Mm.
management. And the way I try to approach this freelancing opportunities is, uh, there are a bunch of websites like Upwork freelancing and all, or maybe your some of the connect. You won't find something like, I'm looking for a product manager for this product, but what you will find the kind of job is, hey, I'm looking for someone who can do competitive analysis for this kind of 5 products. This is one of the job listings. Pick up that job, try to do this, and that's how you are building the real life experience as well, not just by doing self project, but doing some sort of internship or this kind of freelancing jobs. As much as you can, the more you will learn. And I have, Ankit was saying, right, I spoke to a lot of product manager. I have literally heard this kind of success stories from them.
Yes.
So this, spend around another 3 to 4 months, then is the final transition phase, where you can actually prep up your resume, gear up your LinkedIn, start reaching out, apply, make your resumes. And now in your resume, you can include this kind of things, right? How do you work as a product manager, or the freelancing things? You can absolutely include this kind of work experience
Yes.
in this. Resume is not about your designation, what was your designation, but it's more about the functional based role and this kind of internship and experience. So feel free to do that. And I'm talking this all from my personal experience, where I did this kind of self project on Cred app back in 2020, and I literally sent that to Kunal Shah for, I want to work for Cred, and this is why I love
Yes.
about it. And that, even things didn't work out there, that particular link is in my resume showing this kind of self projects. And in bunch of interviews, the recruiters and interviewers literally click on that project and interviewed me on those things. So that's how you're creating opportunities and doing this. So yes, this is what you can do in the 6 months or 1 year of time to learn, practice, and finally transition into a product management.
Yes, correct. Very good, Sugat. I think I could relate with a lot of points with like our students have also reported. So one of the major mistake that I also found with people is that they'll get inspired by product management because of some of the other reasons.
Yes.
But what they do is they'll just go ahead and maybe subscribe to a course, buy a book, look at some YouTube channels, and then they will go into that, let's say, self-learning mode. But self-learning is not a learning as far as you're only consuming the content. You have to go ahead and do something. So for the same example, correct? So we have someone in the first cohort of LOPM. His name was Chandan, and he exactly did the same. He created like a good mock-up, like a small HTML website where he explained that if I would go ahead and work with Cred, this is what I would do. Send it to multiple product
Awesome.
managers out there, and also to some of the leaders out there. I'm not sure if he has included Kunal Shah, but then right now he's a product manager at Cred. He was able to go ahead and
Oh,
crack
great.
crack it, and the e-commerce part that you see on Cred is like looking has been looked after him. So I think it works, and we have seen it continuous again and again. And also, one major thing that I've also seen is that don't just do the projects in order to go ahead and get a job, because what they are looking for is a confident PM. Even if you know everything in the world, maybe they might not know what your skills are. So you need to showcase something. Plus, doing a lot of projects will give you the self confidence, because understand, at the top of it, product management looks very simple. You just have to build a product sense, talk to some people, and then it is done. But when you go ahead and do things, build
Yeah.
some kind of side projects, then you go ahead and understand what it takes to go ahead and become a product manager. So I think absolutely bang on advice that please don't limit yourself to only consuming things, but create things so that you learn, and you can maybe go ahead and talk about it in the interviews as well. Fantastic, Sugat. Thanks a lot for that insight. And then maybe my next question would be, Sugat, that can you maybe help us understand what does a day looks like in a big tech company such as Meta or LinkedIn for a product manager?
Sure. Actually, it varies a lot, depend from companies to companies and teams to teams and time to time. The reason why I say so, because I have worked across PayPal, LinkedIn, and my day or week has been really different as compared to any startups I have worked in, and also the time of the things. So if I have to just talk about the recent time, right now we just covered the H2 planning phase, right? H2 planning is a well-known term you would hear in all this text saying that, hey, what all the kind of projects we gonna be doing in H2 2024, the second half of the year in 2024. So that's what we as a team or a company plan a kind of thing. So July month was pretty crazy with all this kind of leadership reviews, alignment, roadmap review, planning. This was a kind of a planning phase you can think about it, right? So once this is done, if I have to talk about the typical day or a week, I think let's say I'm working on a strategy document right now, where I have to come up with a roadmap of that particular product till 2025. So this is maybe a right time for me, because this is where after the planning and all I can now focus and all. And the way I do it generally is maybe I would go ahead and interview a lot of customers, understand their problem. And not only that, I have to also talk to a lot of my internal stakeholders and the sister teams, just to ensure that how does this particular feature would impact to them, and if we can also work in some way, what are the risks. So planning all those things gonna be take a time. So my day, typically as of now, I'm doing like I start my day late because I work in a US time zone, because most of my time's in US. So maybe let's say I start somewhere around 11 a.m. in the morning. The first hours are generally reading through all the emails and the chats and the things which I've received. There, so generally takes time because there are a bunch of them and there are few things which I have to respond back to them. So that's where my first few hours goes into things. Second, once I'm done with that, I think I just plan out my week, that this particular week, what are the top of the mind which I have to do. Then this is like P0, P1 for me. So that planning is very important, so that you are always in a track to hit your own personal goal and the product goal which you are trying to do. So I do that planning and ensure that I dedicate some amount of time in that, right? So that's is afternoon time for me, is more of a focused time where I can do this kind of activities. Let's say when I have to do some, maybe I have to read some documents or I have to understand some things. This is what I do. If I have to go through some recordings, if I have to come up with own, I have to write some documentation. This is the time I utilize doing it. Uh, Towards the evening, I have my call scheduled right from the 4 p.m. where, because that's where the golden hour with the US team coming into the picture. I have different type of calls, right? I have calls where I'm working on a metrics work stream, right? Where I have to ensure that all the metrics that we are tracking, how that's being generated. So I have calls with DS teams, understanding if we are doing going in the track or not, if there are all of a sudden spikes we are seeing. So we also keep monitoring those metrics and seeing there are any anomaly or not. If not, if there it happens, like yesterday, only there was a sudden spike in one of our metrics, and I have to debug or root cause things, understanding why that sudden spike happened. So maybe my entire day was went into figuring out that, right? But so that's one of the phase of the metrics work streams. Next is, apart from that, I also have my team meetings where my eng team is definitely, I won't call it stand up sort of thing, but it's mostly about we do lot of this async things about how the things are going on, if there are any blockers, if there are any alignment things which is required from a PM side of it. So those kind of calls are there in things. Then a lot of one-on-one I have, right? One-on-one with the customers, one-on-one with the except, I mean, we call it a cross-functional things, be it with other engineering team, other PMs in the team. So that all my evening calls are being done. And yeah, I think in my current project, I'm working less with the design thing. So there are not that design heavy sort of things. But generally, I've seen when I was in LinkedIn and PayPal, that design sprints and was also being particular things. So in short, if I have to summarize, right? Uh, right now I'm working on some of the execution stuffs, so my time is very focused on this one-on-one connections and meetings. It 1 month before this it was very much planning heavy, so I have to keep doing planning things.
Understood, Sugat. And Sugat, you have also worked with, let's say, a couple of startups as well, like before you switch into these kind of companies.
Yes,
So, what are the major differences that you have seen that, let's say, someone in startup does these kind of things differently, and maybe at a MAANG it changes?
I think one difference is first I will want to call this out. My perception was in startups things move very fast,
Mm.
and in fangs things move very slow, very process oriented and all, which I actually found opposite. So the reason, because okay, there are processes involved a lot here, but it moves at such a rapid speed that I can't imagine. So
Mm.
my all the perceptions or which are theories which I had is completely removed. So in this, maybe one of the differences or not, which I always used to think. So that's number one. Uh, Processes heavy are there. We have spent in big techs, you have to spend a lot of time in leadership reviews and alignments and all, which is not that thing in startups. It's very easy go things. If CEO approves, things are fine. You don't have to worry about these things. But here is like your team lead, your org lead, then your all sort of things. So there's the layers, and that's how one of the major difference being. Uh, what are the other differences over here? In startups, when I was working, it was very much sales and the numbers driven sort of thing, right? Like I was in calls with the customers, I would the paying customers and also account management. So they were all sort of different kind of 360-degree view of things I used to get. But in enterprises or in the fan companies, let's say you're dedicated to a particular team or project, you have the visibility around that kind of things. But in startups, you have visibility at a company level, but here you just have a visibility at the team or a org level. So that's one major difference I find over here. So yeah,
Yes, very interesting. Very, and I think it also depends on the kind of company that you are working with. Facebook has been
yes,
known to like preserve their startup culture from the
yes.
initial phases. So I think that is also what matters. Yes, great, Sugat. And Sugat, maybe now we'll go ahead and maybe jump to the rapid fire rounds. I have few questions for you, which you need to answer
Okay.
maybe as soon as you can. So yes, so maybe my first question for you, Sugat, would be that because you have worked with, let's say, top companies which are known for, let's say, a very high density of talent and the kind of work that they have done. So, what is the one best piece of advice that someone ever gave you? It could be a personal advice or a professional advice.
Uh, okay. So this was one advice I received recently, right? Uh, you don't need permission or authority to do something.
Hmm.
You just do of your own. Think you are the owner of this particular thing. This is one of the advice which I recently received, and I find it very valid because it changes your lot of thought process, especially when you're working in this kind of big tech giants where you think that, hey, can I even do this? Do I need to take permission to do this and all? These all thoughts keep coming to you when you're especially dealing with a lot of senior people. But I think ever since I got this advice, I think that changed my perceptions a bit. So you don't need some permissions or authority to do things. You have all the freedom and right. Just go ahead and do what's the best for the users. Yeah.
Yes, cool. Understood. And maybe my next question could be that what do you think are the differences between what, according to you, are the differences between average PM slash good PM or a great PM?
Okay. a good PM or yeah, let's not call average because everyone I think thinks
Yeah.
a good PM is someone who is very much customer focused, obsession. They want to solve the customer pain points. Yes, very good. But a great PM, they also know how to, like, product management is very much about relationship building, and a lot
Hmm.
happens on that. We sometimes tend to forget it. So I would say a great PM is someone who is doing all the things of good PM of customer obsessions, but they also know how to have those healthy relationship with
Right.
your peers, how to get the things done, how to influence without authority. I would say that's the sign of a great PM.
Correct, correct. I think this whole debate around strategy and execution is something that is, I think, misleading the PM. So I think as a great PM, you need both strategy, which is the customer and the business insight, plus the
Yeah.
ability to get work done, which is execution. Great, great. And maybe what are the two major red flags that you see in an interview? Let's say as an interviewer as well, because I'm sure you might have taken some interviews, and also as a person who is also giving the interview. Maybe if you can give two for each.
Okay. One thing, whenever maybe when I'm taking the interviews and I see that the candidate is directly jumping into the solution or the features and it's very much sold with that ideas and all, I find that
Hmm.
to be a red flag because uh, the way we have seen or the mindset is we have to understand as a PM what is the right problem, right?
Hmm.
So that's one of the best thing I would love everyone to approach. Don't be sold on the features that you're gonna doing, but talk about the problems and how you identified the problems, I would say. Uh, that's being when I'm interviewing someone, and if people do that, that I would find that as a red flag. Let's say if I am interviewing in some place and the interviewer is trying to, you know, act like a teacher, not a teacher, but more of a trying to scrutinize me in every point, uh, or have a fixed mindset. The That's the kind of a red flag for me as a candidate because see, interview is just for not for judging someone. It's about understanding your thoughts, and you can be different in all ways, and
Hmm.
we all should respect that opinions and all. So there have been many interviews when interview already have this kind of mindset that if a candidate touches these points, then it's when aligning with my thoughts and theories.
Yes, yes,
If
yes, yes, yes.
not, no, this candidate is not good. So you can easily recognize if the interviewer is literally trying to gauge you in a discussion or just trying to judge you and deny you for all the things.
Mhm. Completely aligned to it. I think I completely agree with both the points out there. And yes, now this is going to be an interesting question. That what is the worst piece of advice that you think is being given in the product management world right
I think be a PM.
now?
I mean, okay. So what I've seen that PM is being glamorized, which is not
Hmm.
true.
Yes.
Yes, we have seen a lot of success stories. There's a great trajectory of a product manager and leading to founders and CEOs and all. But there's a hard reality of life of a product manager as well, where you have to deal a lot of people related things and decision making
Yes.
and stakeholder management, which is not a cup of tea for everyone, or not everyone enjoys it, right? So maybe we have to show the good side as well as the bad side to the candidate, and then they can take a fine decision or a sound decision.
Yes, it's very interesting. I think thanks a lot for telling that, Sugat. And this is what I recommend to people that before you go ahead and sign up for a course or a book or start applying to companies, maybe ask yourself, why do you go ahead and want to become a PM? And most of the time, I have seen the wrong reasons the mostly, which is, let's say, there is a better salary. Yes, there's a better salary, but that should not be your, let's say, number one motivation out there. That could be the top three motivations, but absolutely not number one, because it gets hard when you're only working for money. And second is that people are generally hating their current jobs, which is, I have been a coder, but maybe I don't know how to code. So I want to go ahead and find a escape route, and that could be product management. So I think those are the few reasons. And this is what I recommend, that at least go through, let's say, 10, 15 job listings of a product manager.
Yeah,
Read what are the requirements and the criteria and maybe the responsibility that you are going to have. And let's say if you have to do this for, let's say, 15, 20 years of your life, are you okay, are you happy or not? Because it's a job of high responsibility but almost no authority, so you have to get work done with a lot of people. And it's not a strategy. I've seen a lot of people that they think that, yes, if you become a PM, you're only going to create the strategy. I'm sure even like the MAANG PMs are only creating
yeah,
strategies for a couple of weeks in maybe a particular quarter, but most of it is execution, stakeholder
exactly.
management. Yes, yes. So please
Absolutely.
clear your why before you go ahead and get into product management, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So thanks a lot, Sugat. And yes, now maybe this is a popular question, and I'm sure many people might have asked you already. So, what are your thoughts on the future of product management?
Okay. I think, yeah, okay. See, the future of product management relies on what are the abilities that we are doing, right? One of the key skills that we do is we spoke about people management and decision making. I think how many technology advancement happen, this thing's gonna still be there. Let the AI come into the picture. It will just enable you to make better decisions with low error rates and all. But this is something you have to still do. So for me, I think this role gonna definitely evolve, and I don't think foresee any replacement of PMs in the coming future. So
Cool, cool, cool. And maybe I'll stop with this concluding question, which is, what are some of the tools that you use in your day to work as a product manager?
okay, so I think, see, at Meta, most of the tools are very internal focused because we built our own tools and all, right? But I think we used Google Docs for writing all of our documents. We used Figma for all sort of design things. We have our own metrics tool and all, which we have built from things. So that's the internal. That's the one of the related tool specific things. We use our internal workplace, which is for all the communications and chats and all, which is workplace is one of the Meta's product which we use leverage all kind of communication related things. We use Zoom for all the meetings, and also the workplace meetings as well for this. So maybe, yeah, these are some of the tools that we use in our day-to-day activity.
Cool, cool. And now people who are listening to this podcast, now they know that even people at Meta are using the basic tools. So please don't focus on
Oh
just learning
yeah.
the tools. Yeah, so that is also a
Oh,
mistake that I have seen, that
absolutely.
people go ahead and do a lot of mistake by only catching up to the tools. Understand, guys, no matter what kind of company that you work with, all the product management tools you can learn within a couple of days. That is the maximum. Those are very, very easy tools. Yes. Thanks a lot, Sugat. I think, Sugat, this was very cool and insightful conversation. I'll go ahead and catch few resources from you if people want to go ahead and prepare for product management, and then I'll prepare all of these resources, make it into a document, and put it in the description of this particular video so that people can go ahead and consume the same. Thanks a lot for your time, Sugat.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ankit, for having me in this channel, and I wish you all the best for Hello PM. Keep spreading the good work.
Yes, yes, yes. You have been helping us out a lot, Sugat. Thanks a lot.